In the dawn of human history, after Adam and Eve, their first children were born. Cain arrived first, a new life, a new beginning for the fledgling human family. His name, perhaps, echoed his mother's words, "I have acquired a man with the Lord." Soon after, his brother Abel was born. Two sons side by side, yet their journeys through life would take them down vastly different roads. They were the first siblings, their story a foundational narrative of human experience, a tale that would resonate through millennia, teaching profound lessons about choices and consequences. Cain chose the earth as his companion, his challenge and his sustenance. He became a tiller of the ground, a farmer. His days were spent in labor, coaxing forth crops from the soil. He understood the rhythm of planting and the satisfaction of harvest. His hands were familiar with the texture of the earth, the demands of cultivation. He dedicated himself to this work, shaping the land to yield its bounty. This direct engagement with the soil defined his existence, his contribution to the world. Abel, however, turned his gaze to the creatures of the field. He became a keeper of sheep, a shepherd. His life was one of movement, guiding his flocks to fresh pastures and cool waters. He watched over them, protecting them from dangers, understanding their gentle ways. His existence was intertwined with the lives of his animals. He spent his days under the vast sky, a guardian of his flock, his spirit perhaps mirroring the quiet vigilance required by his calling. This pastoral life shaped his character and his connection to the divine. These two brothers, born of the same parents, grew up in the same world. Yet, their chosen professions reflected different inclinations, different ways of interacting with creation. One was rooted in the soil, the other roamed with his flock. These differences, seemingly simple aspects of their daily lives, would soon become magnified. They would play a crucial role in the unfolding drama of their relationship, particularly when it came to their expressions of worship and their standing before God. Their paths, though parallel for a time, were destined for a tragic intersection. In the course of time, the moment arrived for both brothers to present offerings to the Lord. This was an act of worship, a way to acknowledge the divine source of all blessings. Cain, the farmer, brought what his labor had produced. He presented some of the fruits of the soil, a testament to his hard work and his connection to the earth. He laid his offering before God, perhaps with an expectation of recognition for his toil. For the sustenance he wrested from the ground. Abel the shepherd also came to make his offering. He selected with care from his flock. He brought the firstborn lambs, the very best he possessed. He offered the fat portions, signifying a gift of great value, a sacrifice that cost him something precious. His offering was not merely a token, but a heartfelt expression of devotion, reflecting a deep reverence for the life he nurtured and for the Creator who gave it. His approach to worship seemed to stem from a different place in his heart. And the Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering. A clear sign of divine acceptance was given, acknowledging the spirit and substance of his gift. However, for Cain and his offering, there was no such regard. The Lord did not show favor towards what Cain had brought. This stark difference in divine reception was a pivotal moment. For Cain, it was not just a rejection of his fruits, but a perceived rejection of himself, his efforts, and his worth, especially when compared to his brother. As a result, Cain became exceedingly angry. His countenance fell, a dark shadow clouding his features. The joy he might have anticipated turned into bitter disappointment and profound vexation. Why was his brother preferred? Why was his own offering, the product of his sweat and labor, deemed unacceptable? These questions gnawed at him, and a dangerous seed of resentment began to sprout within his heart. Jealousy, a destructive emotion, started to take root, twisting his perspective and setting him on a perilous path. Seeing Cain's distress and the darkness gathering within him, the Lord spoke directly to him. It was a moment of divine intervention, an offered lifeline. "Why are you angry?" God inquired gently. "And why has your countenance fallen?" This question was an invitation for Cain to pause, to examine the turmoil in his soul, to understand the dangerous path he was treading. God saw the precipice upon which Cain stood and sought to guide him back from the brink. The Lord continued with a crucial warning, outlining the choice before Cain. "If you do well, will you not be accepted?" God explained. And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it. Sin was depicted as a predatory beast, waiting to pounce, to dominate. The responsibility was placed squarely on Cain. He had the capacity to master this encroaching evil, to overcome the envy that threatened to consume him. The warning was stark, the choice profoundly significant, yet Cain did not heed this divine counsel. The words of warning intended for his salvation seemed to wash over him without effect. The bitterness in his heart had festered. The jealousy had become an overwhelming force. He approached his brother Abel, perhaps concealing his murderous intent behind ordinary words. "Let us go out to the field," Cain suggested to Abel. It sounded like a simple invitation, a moment for brothers to be together, but it masked a sinister plan. And so it was, while they were in the field away from any watchful eyes, that Cain's dark plan unfolded. He rose up against Abel, his own brother, the one with whom he had shared the first years of life, the one who was his kin. In a brutal act of violence fueled by unchecked jealousy and rage, Cain struck Abel and killed him, the first human life taken by another. Abel's innocent blood spilled onto the earth, a silent cry rising from the ground, marking a terrible turning point in human history. Soon after this dreadful act, the Lord confronted Cain. The divine presence sought him, not in ignorance, but to bring Cain face to face with his transgression. "Where is Abel your brother?" God asked. This question was an opportunity for Cain to confess, to acknowledge his guilt, to perhaps begin a path towards repentance. It was a moment pregnant with the possibility of honesty. But Cain chose a different response, one that deepened his separation. Cain's reply was evasive, a blatant lie mixed with defiance. "I do not know," he answered. Then he uttered the infamous words, "Am I my brother's keeper?" This question, laden with resentment and a shocking disregard for his familial bond, revealed the hardness of his heart. He sought to deny his responsibility, to deflect the weight of his crime. His response showed how far he had fallen, how sin had indeed mastered him, leading him to deny the most basic human connections. But the truth could not be hidden from God. "What have you done?" the Lord declared, the divine voice filled with sorrow and judgment. "The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground." The very earth bore witness against Cain, and so the consequence was pronounced. "And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth." His connection to the soil, his livelihood, was severed. Cain, overwhelmed by the severity of his sentence, cried out, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me out this day from the ground, and from your face I shall be hidden, and I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." Yet even in this moment of judgment, God extended a measure of mercy. The Lord put a mark on Cain, not as a brand of shame, but as a sign of protection, so that no one who found him would slay him. Cain then departed from the Lord's presence, carrying his burden and this strange protection. His story remains a timeless warning about the destructive power of jealousy, the insidious progression of sin, and yet, amidst it all, the profound and often mysterious mercy of God.